and to sort it all out. And Ives likes to work under the principle, out of chaos comes clarity. So the first movement is very strong, very difficult to hear for the first time, but once you hear it many times, all of a sudden then it begins to make sense. So the main theme that he uses is Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, the Fate motive, dun 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 dun, short, 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 long. And it's no wonder that he uses this because Beethoven was a huge champion of humanity, and this particular sonata is all about that. So let me play what Charles Ives does to that motive. You never really hear it like that. This is what he changes it to. Listen first to my right pinky, then my left thumb, and then the octaves and the bass. Those are the three main times. But if you're listening carefully, it's actually occurring 3 or 4 more times internally. So here's your first glimpse of what is to come. In the second movement, listen to my right hand. Still with me? Then, in the third movement, things begin to change. Take a listen. There it is again. And here's the Alcott movement. What was so thick and confusing is now becoming clear and quite beautiful. And in the last movement in Thoreau, it's even more simple, just the right little pinky. Okay, so you're going to see the arc. This is really like a journey, this sonata. It's really great, and I hope you give it a chance because it says so much. So Beethoven is the main theme. The other main theme is called the Human Faith Melody. This is another gorgeous melody. It is composed by Ives himself. And so it's not really a quote, but when you analyze it, he has elements of Beethoven in that and all other things too. But he only presents snippets of it in the first 2 movements. He doesn't let us know the whole thing. So it sounds like this, and it continues. But let me play in the very first measure. Well, actually, there are no measures. I should tell you that. This whole piece is composed practically without any bar lines, without any time signatures, maybe a couple, and no key signatures. So it's very difficult to learn, but it is well worth it. So, and also, one of the great marks of any composer is that in the very beginning of a piece, in the first measure or the first couple of measures, they actually broadcast everything that they're going to do for the entire sonata or whatever it's going to be. They present all of their main themes right there in the beginning, and then they work them through. And so Ives happens to present them all on top of each other, but they're still there. So remember, this is the theme we're listening to now. Here's what he does. The very first part of this. Listen to my right hand. Okay, you all heard that. And then it becomes this. Okay, and then in the second movement, it becomes this. third movement when he presents the whole thing in its entirety, and it's quite beautiful. So I'm going to play the whole theme for you. Let me tell you about that little note that I just played. Charles Ives, he was the church organist, and the parish did not appreciate his sense of harmony. So he really needed to tame himself, calm himself down. But what he would do is he would play teeny little notes like that as a source of dissonance, just to satisfy his craving. And nobody really noticed, but he did, and it made him feel better. So you'll hear all of those teeny little things that he sneaks in. Alrighty, what else? Oh, in the second movement, here's that theme again. You can just see him at the piano. Gem of the Ocean. We all know that song. And he plays that a lot. He actually likes to use a lot of themes that have to deal with water. And I don't know if that has to do with his transcendental thought, because Emerson was very much involved with water, that you have this unending flow of time and a process going through us all. And so Ives uses that. Also in that third movement, listen for Here Comes the Bride. So, all right, the last thing I want to show you is a tune by Stephen Foster. This is called Massa in the Cold Ground. Massa in the Cold Ground, and it's a folk song written by Stephen Foster, and it's sung by a slave about his master who had just died and was buried in the cornfield. And it's a very beautiful song. Some of you may know it. I played it actually last month, and someone was actually singing the tune with it. I didn't know that it was so popular, but here it is. And the words are down in the cornfield where his master is buried. And it's a downward moving melody. Everything is moving down. It's referencing death, and it's at the last of this very long sonata. Here it is, right hand. Changing the notes. He uses the same exact notes, but he just harmonizes it differently and doesn't include the words. And on. Okay, so we're going to get started. You really cannot listen to this sonata like you would listen to a Beethoven or Mozart sonata. It just doesn't work. You just have to sit back, be open, let the tones and sounds just see where it takes you, because it really is a journey. It's a huge art, and just see where it takes you. The last thing I forgot to tell you about is this block of wood. Charles Ives was always looking to create new sounds, and what he heard in his ear he couldn't get sometimes. So on the score, he calls for a block of wood 14 and 3/4 inches long. When I read that, I had no idea exactly what to do with that. But I went to the lumber yard and picked out a piece of wood that looked pretty good. I asked them to cut it in this 14 and 3/4 inch length. And with the help of my piano technician, we put some felt on, and voila, we have a new instrument. So this he uses in the second movement to imitate church bells. And I forgot to tell you, he likes to juxtapose the sacred and the secular. So in the second movement, he'll also have hymn tunes, but outside the church window, there's a ghost walking in the graveyard, there's a circus band, and he puts all these little notations in his score. So it's a lot of fun.